Alright, today we got a walk-in freezer and we've got a dirty condenser coil. This is pretty basic, but you know, I always make these videos to help out the next guy. So this is a micro-channel condenser, so you do want to be careful about using chemicals. You want to make sure, but that thing's pretty dirty. So we're going to be using a Viper aerosol cleaner today because it's micro-channel safe. So my method to go about this is we turn off power to the unit. I've already confirmed that power is de-energized and the disconnect is working properly. We're going to wet down the condenser coil with water. See if we can push any of the stuff out with water first. Then we're going to apply the Viper foaming cleaner from the opposite side of which the dust is collected. So the condenser's direction is this way, you know, through it. So we're going to push the foam out that way. It's going to be our hopes, you know. It's not going to be perfect, so. Just gonna wet it down. I'm not really pushing anything, okay? Doesn't take much with something like this because it's not impacted per se. It's more or less a dust. But the micro channels can be a little difficult to clean sometimes. So that's why we're gonna use the foaming cleaner. So we're just pushing that through. See how it's coming through nice and good, but we're still gonna use the foaming cleaner. Just get the condenser nice and saturated. Being careful not to get the motors wet. We just need, my preference is to have a smooth surface for the foam to push out. I don't know if there's any science behind this, but I choose to use a wet condenser. That way the foam doesn't get stuck on the dry condenser. But again, that could make no sense. That's just how I roll. This isn't going to be perfect, but without getting it on the motor, I just want to spray as much into this area as I can. Kind of, again, I'm going to have to hit it from the other side too, but I'm just going to try to get some from this side. It's kind of tricky without pulling out the condenser fan blades. I don't think it warrants pulling the motors out completely. Just going to do our best. And that's pretty much all I can do from that side. So now we're going to hit it from this side, but you can see it's already foaming through, so we'll go ahead and being careful that this isn't hitting the motors again. And try to get as much from the other side first and then get it from this side. But be careful though, because you know, as I'm doing that, I'm seeing it come through the other side, so you don't want to get this in the windings in the motor. You want to be cautious about that. You can see it's still, even though I'm going the opposite direction, it's still pulling the dirt out because look at how dirty the foam, the brand new foam that I'm getting on there is getting. So stuff works really well getting into those spots. It's important too, again, a personal preference, when you're done cleaning a micro channel coil, take some CO2 or nitrogen, something like that, and push the moisture out because a lot of times it gets stuck in the micro channel. So we're foaming through nice and good, nice and good. Let it sit for a minute and then we'll rinse it off. Okay, we've sat for a couple minutes, so now we're just gonna give it a good rinse. Try to rinse the surface stuff off first. And then I'll get deep down inside once I get the surface off. Okay, now we're gonna push through. One of the cool things about smaller micro channel coils is you really don't need an actual hose. A pump sprayer does the work on something this small, unless it's completely impacted with grease or something. Just give it a good rinse. We'll rinse from the other side too. Okay, now we're going to rinse from the other side. Coming through nice and good. See the water's coming through the other side when I push up against it. So I'm just getting the surface stuff off, and then we'll get in there a little bit more detailed and rinse the inside of the condenser out here in a second. Just trying to get the surface stuff off so that way we don't push the nasty stuff that's on the surface back into the condenser. So, okay, so we're coming through nice and good. Do my best to run up and down. It's not going to be perfect. Just do your best. Like I said, I'm going to have to hit some of it from the other side too, the opposite side, but I just want to do my best to get as much from the opposite side of where the dust is collected, like I already said. About all we're going to get on that, so we're going to go ahead and pump this guy up a little bit more and then push the rest of this through. That's where I'm getting right up in there, trying to push out that nastiness. Try to go to downward direction when you're right behind the motor, that way you're not pushing it right into the motor. Then when you're not near a motor, just go for it. I didn't spend a lot of time, but I did my best to go ahead and rinse out the bottom of the condensing unit too. Again, I'm not gonna shine this thing up. Just got most of the big dirt out, okay? So now I'm gonna, I've let it sit for a little bit. We're gonna give it adequate time just in case one of my motors got wet, and then we'll start it up. So I inspected everything. Something you wanna watch out for was I noticed that it got an open electrical section with a defrost time clock, but I made sure I didn't get it wet. You just got to pay attention to what you're doing. You can't just blast stuff, okay? You don't want to soak those motors, that kind of stuff. I gave it adequate time to dry out. Still a little bit of moisture, but I'm not going to wait forever. Started it back up. All the motors are running. You want to make sure everything works. You don't want to leave and then find out that you shorted out a motor or something. So let it run for a little bit. And then if you're doing other work, then you proceed from there. But, at the same time, trying to be smart and not have this area full of my tools so that way they could get wet. I kept all my stuff up high. So that's pretty much it. Condenser coil cleaning, nothing too fancy. Just follow the proper procedures and you should be good to go. You always want to be careful when using chemicals on a microchannel aluminum condenser, okay? What I used is the Viper aerosol coil cleaner. And this is aluminum safe and also safe for microchannel condenser coils and evaporator coils. We're doing good now. We've got nice airflow coming out that condenser. Actually see through it. It's nice and good. I can feel massive airflow through it. We're good. Nice and good. Nice clean condenser. So